Skylar and Neese, February 10, 1996. July 6, 2012, was an American teenage girl who disappeared from her home in Star City, West Virginia around midnight on July 6, 2012. Neese's remains were found on January 16, 2013, in Wayne Township, Greene County, Pennsylvania. Neese was murdered by two of her high school friends, Rachel Schoaf and Sheila Eddy. In December 2012, Schoaf told authorities that she and Eddy planned and carried out Neese's murder. Schoaf pleaded guilty to second-degree murder on May 1, 2013. Neese's disappearance led to new West Virginia legislation that made changes to the Amber Alert missing child alert system. Background information. Victim Skylar Annette Neese was the only child of Mary and Dave Neese. At that time, Mary Neese worked as an administrative assistant in a cardiac lab and Dave Neese was a product assembler at Walmart. Skylar was an honors student at University High School who wanted to become a criminal lawyer. She worked at Wendy's with two close friends. Perpetrator Sheila Ray Eddy, born September 28, 1995, is the only child of Tara Clendenin and Greg Eddy. Sheila was born in Blacksville, West Virginia. Rachel Schoaf, born June 10, 1996, grew up in Morgantown. She is the only daughter of Rusty and Patricia Schoaf. Both perpetrators attended University High School along with their victim. Disappearance on July 5, 2012. Neese returned to her family's Star City, West Virginia apartment after working a shift at Wendy's. Her apartment complex's surveillance video shows Neese left the apartment via her bedroom window at 12:30 a.m. on July 6 and got into a sedan. Neese's father said she did not take her cell phone charger, her window was left open, and that she planned on coming home. Murder. On the night of the murder, Sheila Eddy and Rachel Schoaf had invited Neese to sneak out with them. Neese, who had recently fallen out with the two, was initially hesitant. After a series of phone calls and texts from the girls, Neese changed her mind. At approximately 12:30 a.m., Neese climbed out of her bedroom window, crossed the street and got into the back seat of a four-door sedan. Law enforcement officers later determined that the sedan had been in the possession of Sheila Eddy that evening. The three girls then headed northwest from Star City toward Blacksville via U.S. Route 19. The perpetrators had planned to travel along WV Route 7, but turned around after spotting a state police car parked in front of a gambling lounge. They eventually arrived at their destination just across the Pennsylvania state border, a spot where all three of the girls would occasionally smoke marijuana. Schoaf and Eddy had been planning Neese's murder for months. They left Eddy's house prepared to carry out the assault on Neese, bringing with them kitchen knives, paper towels, bleach, clean clothes, and a shovel. They concealed the knives on their persons, and hid the remaining items in the trunk of Eddy's vehicle. Once the girls were out of the vehicle, the perpetrators told Neese they had forgotten to bring a lighter. Neese volunteered to go back to the vehicle to fetch her own lighter. Once Neese had turned her back, Schoaf and Eddy began counting to 3. Their agreed-upon signal. Upon giving the signal, Schoaf and Eddy began to stab Neese. The victim attempted to run, but was only able to run a few feet before Schoaf tackled her to the ground and continued the assault. During the attack, Neese managed to wrestle Schoaf's knife from her and, in an apparent attempt to defend herself, cut Schoaf's knee. Eddy continued to stab Neese until there was complete silence and, according to Schoaf, Neese's neck stopped making gurgling sounds. Neese's post-mortem examination revealed more than 50 stab wounds. Afterwards, Schoaf and Eddy attempted to bury the body, first dragging Neese to the side of the road, which would not work because the road ran along a creek and the soil there was too hard and rocky to dig a hole, which had been their original plan. They instead covered Skylar's body with rocks, fallen branches, and dirt. Schoaf and Eddy then returned to the car to clean themselves and the murder scene. Upon completing the murder and cleaning up, Schoaf and Eddy left the scene. disposed of their blood-soaked clothing and returned to their homes. Investigation. Neese was initially considered to be a runaway by law enforcement authorities, and an Amber Alert was not immediately issued in connection with her disappearance. An early tip indicated that Neese had been seen in North Carolina, but the Star City Police Department determined that the person spotted was not Neese. Neese's parents posted flyers about their missing daughter in the Monongalia County region. Police determined that the unknown sedan in which Skylar Neese was last seen belonged to Eddie and interviewed her. Eddie admitted to picking up Neese but stated that she had dropped her off an hour later. The FBI and the West Virginia State Police joined the search for Skylar Neese on September 10, 2012, and began interviewing Neese's school friends. The break in the case came when Rachel Schoaf admitted plotting with Sheila Eddy to kill Neese. The motivation Schoaf gave for the murder was they didn't like her and didn't want to be friends with her anymore. Dave Neese stated that these two girls were among his daughter's best friends, and that Sheila Eddy had even helped the family look for her by distributing missing person flyers. After her confession, Rachel Schoaf led investigators to Neese's body. On March 13, 2013, U.S. Attorney William J. Ihlenfeld issued a press release stating that a body found in Wayne Township, Greene County, Pennsylvania on January 16, 2013 had been identified as the remains of Neese. Neese's remains were found less than 30 miles, 48 kilometers away from her home. Criminal charges. On May 1, 2013, Rachel Schoaf pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. According to the court transcript, Schoaf said that she and Sheila Eddy picked up Neese in Eddy's car. The girls drove to Pennsylvania, got out of the car, and began socializing. At a prearranged time, Schoaf and Eddy stabbed Skylar to death on the count of 3. The teens attempted to bury Neese's body, but were unable to do so and instead covered the body with branches. The court transcript indicates that other students overheard conversations between Schoaf and Eddy about the murder plot, but failed to report it, thinking they were joking. According to Schoaf's plea agreement, she pleaded guilty to murder in the second degree by unlawfully, feloniously, willfully, maliciously and intentionally causing the death of Skylar Neese by stabbing her and causing fatal injuries. In the plea agreement, the state of West Virginia recommended a sentence of 40 years incarceration. Schoaf's family issued a public apology for her actions through their lawyer. On September 4, 2013, West Virginia prosecutors publicly identified Sheila Eddy as the second alleged perpetrator of the murder of Skylar Neese and announced that she would be tried as an adult. Eddy was indicted by a grand jury on September 6, 2013 with 1 count of kidnapping, 1 count of first-degree murder, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder. Sheila Eddy pleaded not guilty to these charges. The date of the trial was originally set for January 28, 2014. However, facing the prospect of charges from Pennsylvania authorities in addition to the West Virginia charges, Sheila Eddy pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. She was sentenced to life in prison, with mercy. Under West Virginia law, she is eligible for parole after 15 years. Pennsylvania authorities did not file charges as per the plea deal. Following her guilty plea on May 1, 2013, Rachel Schoaf received a sentence of 30 years in prison, and will be eligible for parole after 10 years. Eddy originally was held in a facility for juveniles after her arrest. Both women are incarcerated at the Lakin Correctional Center in Mason County. Skylar's law and Amber Alert was not issued in Neese's disappearance because the circumstances did not meet all 4 criteria for an alert to be issued. 1. A child is believed to be abducted. 2. The child is under 18. 3. The child may be in danger of death or serious injury. 4. There is sufficient information to indicate the Amber Alert would be helpful. A waiting period of 48 hours had to elapse before a teenager could be considered missing. A West Virginia state legislator from the Neese family home district introduced a bill called Skylar's Law to modify West Virginia's Amber Alert plan to issue immediate public announcements when any child is reported missing and in danger. regardless of whether the child is believed to have been kidnapped. Opinion columns appeared in both West Virginia and national media in support of Skylar's law, some of which also acknowledged criticism and drawbacks of the legislation. On March 27, 2013, the West Virginia House of Delegates approved Skylar's law with a 98-0 vote. On April 12, 2013, the West Virginia Senate unanimously passed the law, but made minor technical changes to the bill which the House of Delegates voted to accept on the same day. West Virginia Governor Earl Ray Tomblin signed the legislation into law in May 2013. National media attention. On May 31, 2013, Anderson Cooper covered the story of Skylar Neese's murder. On March 7, 2014, Dateline NBC aired an episode titled Something Wicked, which chronicled the story of Skylar Neese's murder. On March 10, 2014, The Dr. Phil Show covered Skylar's story, Best Friend's Betrayal. Her parents Dave and Mary were both present, as were two women who described themselves as second mothers to Rachel Shove. On April 12, 2014, Lifetime aired Death Clique, a fictional drama inspired by the story of Skylar Neese's murder. On July 18, 2014, ABC's 2020 covered Skylar's story in the episode called Unfriended. On October 22, 2014, Lemon's show I Killed My BFF covered Skylar's story using parent and friend commentaries in an episode titled Real Life Heathers. On November 14, 2014, Investigation Discovery's show See No Evil covered Skylar's story in an episode titled Skylar Neese. The show uses the real-life surveillance video of Skylar to piece together the last few hours of her life. First-person interviews with her family, friends, and the investigators are used, along with limited dramatic recreation. On March 26, 2016, Reel's channel show Copycat Killers covered Skylar's story in an episode titled Heathers. On August 7, 2016, Oxygen channel showed Skylar's story on Snapped. On October 28, 2016, Investigation Discovery showed Skylar's story on an episode of Suspicion titled A Daughter Disappears. On July 20, 2018, NBC showed Skylar's story on Dateline NBC Season 26 Episode 58 titled Something Wicked. On May 12, 2019, The Generation Y podcast told and reviewed Skylar's story on Episode 327 titled Skylar Neese. See also Missing Person Child Murder National Center for Missing and Exploited Children List of Murdered American Children List of people who disappeared Murder of Michelle Avila Murder of Shanda Scherer Slender Man Stabbing. References. Further reading Barry, Deline, Fuller, Jeffrey C. 2014. The Savage Murder of Skylar Neese. The Truth Behind the Headlines. Ben Bella Books. Barry, Deline, Fuller, Jeffrey C. 2014. Pretty Little Killers. Ben Bella Books. 2020 ABC January 3, 2015 10 p.m. to 11:01 p.m. EST. WPVI 2020 ABC July 18, 2014 10 p.m. to 11:01 p.m. PDT. KGOTV. External links Cowan, Emily, producer, July 6, 2017. 5 years later, The Murder of Skylar Neese. The Dominion Post. Morgantown, WV. Extended interview with Dave and Mary Neese. The Dominion Post. Morgantown, WV. July 8, 2017. 45-minute interview of Skylar Neese's parents. Cooper, Anderson, host, May 31, 2013. Dad to teenage suspects. Rotten hell. Anderson Cooper 360 degrees. CNN International. St. Micco. The Murder of Skylar Neese.